As a result of worsening insecurity, fears have been expressed by a growing number of stakeholders that any talk of politics at this time will be a clear demonstration of the insensitivity of those currently saddled with running the affairs of the country. Well, at this point, we're now being joined by Chief Bode George, retired naval officer, elder statesman, administrator, and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, to have a conversation on the current state of the nation, as much as time will permit us. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
A very good morning to you, Dr. Abati.
Morning, sir. Well, I mean, simple question. As they say in popular Nigerian lingo, how country?
Balance.
Yes.
Well, I believe we dey, but we not dey can pay.
Well, what do you think is wrong, and what is the way forward? What should we do?
I believe that for over 75 years that I have lived on this Mother Earth, I had never experienced or seen my nation in this situation. It's like we were headless. Nothing is going on. And I feel that the issue of this, the insecurity in the land, the lack of unemployment in the land, and so many vagaries of inactivities, jumpstarting, encouraging people to move from A to B peacefully, to carry out their normal jobs and duties and make their money at the end of the month and keep their family alive. We can't guarantee that anymore. So I keep wondering, because this is no longer a matter of party A or party B, Nigeria is in dire strait. The president must rise to the level where I can't teach him because he was my boss in the military. Now, there are so many ways, I believe, from my military training that you can approach the situation. We have what we used to call aid to civil power. That's if the police action is not working, is not effective, then the commander-in-chief can get the army out in an operational order that will support, lives and properties. Because the first responsibility of any government is to ensure security of lives and properties of its people. Once you don't get that going, the whole National Assembly, they can shout from here till Timbuktu, or, the country is wobbling. And something has to be done, and done very quickly. It's our nation. The heavens are going to fall, like we say in the local parlance. Nobody is secured. When you get out of your house, whether you're a rich man or poor man, a middle class man or whatever, you keep looking right and left, looking forward and back for security. What is this? Something has to be done. It's no longer a matter of party A or party B. The platform is wobbling, and wobbling so badly. So what can you do? The senators are talking. The members of the House are talking. Everybody, every corner, there's so much anger in the land. There's so much, people are not pleased. They're not happy.
Well, thank you, sir. People are certainly talking, and the presidency is listening. You'll recall that this week, Femi Adesina issued a cryptic warning to past political leaders and religious leaders, saying that there's some saber rattling going on, there are threats to topple the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. What is your response to that, sir?
I think that is an absolute trash. It's an absolute trash. What are you talking about taking over government, an elected government? Are you saying if we feel that things are not going in the right way, we cannot talk. When we talk, that for one is your birthright. Two, it is a fundamental right to react to situation, to react to things that are hitting you and not impacting on you positively. Are you saying we are zombies to be quiet and start walking around and don't talk? The president must have a feedback, and that feedback is the fact that all is not well. All is not well. Additional can be deceiving himself there, but all is not well. He must have relations, he must have friends, he must have his own children too, who are going from location A to location B. It is heart-wrenching. And this talk about trying to take over government, to do what? You see, if you are not elected, what are you taking over? Taking over what? So people must no longer talk. When the current Minister of Information, when Jonathan was there, he was the greatest spokesman, talking from all sides of his mouth, talking from all sides of his head, blasting the government, talking. In fact, I remember one time, Bola Tinubu called Jonathan the drunken Ijo man. He didn't get offended. So you are now telling people, be quiet. Because you are planning to do what? What do you want to do? You were elected there to serve the people. Those in government must ensure that there will be security of lives and property. That is non-negotiable. Please, let them move away from this scary, unfathomable statements.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your explanation. I'd like to get your comments also on the reactions of another elder statesman, I should say, a man in his 80s, Robert Clark, saying that at this point he doesn't think Nigeria will last another 6 months and the military should come in and make a dash at governance.
No. Let me try and advise our people. You know, it is not the responsibility of the military to get involved in governance. I was in the military. I knew what it was when we had the normal civilian governance, and I knew what it was when the military took over. The impact it has on the military itself, we are yet to completely get back to normal operation. People who are talking about military, that is not our responsibility. It has never been, and it will never be. Everybody is designed, trained to do its own function so that the collective responsibility, the unanimous working together, is to make sure that A and B can move in one's direction that will be synonymous to civilized behavior. Please, those who are talking about military should dance away from it. It is not acceptable. It will completely roll this country back many centuries. The young men in the military now, they have their responsibilities. That's why I'm saying the aid to civil power operation should be immediately enforced so that the military will be engaged in driving all these miscreants from the streets. You know, and it's something we had done before. But to tell them, hey, you come and be in government and come and do what? Is that what they are trained for? Well, I don't subscribe to it. It will send us so many centuries back. Let us talk about it. That is the essence of democracy. We can talk about it. We can react to things that are not going right. And you have, it's part of the fundamental rights of every Nigerian. Because governance, like that's why we are saying, you see, the system we are running is so akin to military organization. You have one man sitting at the top of the government and his orders percolate to the bottom. No. In a democratic dispensation, power must come from the bottom up. The power of the people is what should drive our politicians and our leaders in taking decisions. Because you are elected, you told them, please trust me that I will go there to manage the resources of your nation for your benefit, not the other way around.
Every Nigerian will agree with you that whatever the problems may be, this is a civilian dispensation.
Which you solve it.
And military rule is unacceptable. It has become unfashionable.
It's an aberration.
And it's an aberration. You got it right, sir. But you were talking about the military as an aid to civil power. Now, that is a part of the constitutional responsibility of the military. But we have also argued that, in fact, the military is so involved at the moment. Soldiers are now doing police work. And even in spite of that, we have not seen any difference. Now, as a retired military chief, do you feel embarrassed that even with the military getting involved to protect Nigeria internally and externally, they don't seem to be doing a good job? And then, you know, many soldiers, after they returned to civilian rule, took over and took the Agbada. They donned their Agbada and Babariga. They became civilian politicians. And we have, as president, a tested, you know, war veteran. And yet, under his watch, he's not been able to deliver on the first point of his 3-point agenda that he will deal with security in Nigeria. Do you feel embarrassed that, you know, your constituency is not really helping or is overwhelmed by terrorists, bandits, kidnappers?
No. I am not embarrassed. I am very concerned. And saying that I'm concerned means a lot. Not embarrassed, because we are all Nigerians. I said that there is an operation that we carry out in the military that is codenamed Aid to Civil Power. If you have an insurgency and the police action is not able to resolve them, then you call in the military to back them up and take over the operation. That is the aid to civil power. I'm not sure whether it has been instituted, and there have been all kinds of stories on this Boko Haram, even before the president came in. And when President Jonathan was there, this thing was building up. There were a lot of information inputs that were being put forward at that time. And instead of people listening, they politicized those inputs and turned us in a direction that scattered the whole operation. I think, for me, I said embarrassed. We had suggested severally, and this is not a matter of party B or party C now. I'm talking as a Nigerian, as a retired general, and as somebody who has been in government too, that there is need to interact with all the leaders from the various corners of this country. I said that before. Let the president make sure they call all these people, because when in our local parlance, in those days, once you have something that is much bigger than what you had experienced before, the local Oba or whatever, the king there, will call all the leaders of the various quarters and brainstorm. Like we say in my local parlance, you put your heads together, you put stomach to stomach, and discuss these things. Let's find solutions. It is not that a one man should wear the brains of everybody. It is when you interact, you discuss, that you find, you know, ways of suggested solutions to the problems that are befalling us. So, in my opinion, I think that rather than saying embarrassed, I said I'm very concerned. They have tried all kinds of methodologies in the past. For us, it has not worked. It has not worked. So you must alter course and do something else. And it is the responsibility of the leadership to call all those people. They are there. There are some very senior retired generals. There are others that are obas, you know, from various quarters of this country. There are also very, very senior politicians. Call them up together, lock the door, discuss the problems of this country. Forget about your party B or party A or party C. It is now a national malady. And so he calls for everybody to put their hands on the deck and see what we can come out with. So everybody will leave that meeting feeling that you are part of the solution. It's our country. That's one side. The other issue for me is that the system that was handed over since 1999 is not working. For God's sake, it is not working. And you will know that the lack of communal security is what is being transported and is expanding and is completely consuming this country. It means that the issue of total centralization of the power of the presidency is not working. You have to devolve power to the states so that the state itself, the local government, will also have their own powers, so that from unit to unit, you can effectively, the people in that community will know that this chairman, we voted you and your team to make sure that life means brings more, gives more meaning to them. And if you don't do that, they can remove you in 4 years. But to leave it that one man will sit and the power will percolate from top to bottom with this massive nation, that system has not worked. We have tried it. It is not working. Don't let us deceive ourselves. And there had been a national conference. A report was submitted. That report is still there. We have another 1 year of the grace of God to let us sit down and discuss the report of that conference. And let's move forward. For me, it is not a matter of you hate this one, you hate that one. You know, the consequences now, one, you are perpetuating the lack of cohesion amongst the tribes. They are no longer talking together. When I was young, I mean, the Fulanis used to bring their cows over 75 years now. And after selling the cows in Lagos, they would have been able to extract the urine of the cows. And Agumudadani, they were going all over Lagos. People bought a lot of the Agumudadani. There was no friction. There was no dissenting voices. They made friendship with everybody. And they made their money, went back there, and will come back with the cows. So now what is the problem? Why are we having so much tension amongst ourselves? I think something is, some devil has entered this country. Maybe we have offended God. And I think we need a lot of prayers, you know. We need a lot of prayers and sincerity of purpose and commitment. Lack of greed. You know, it's so mind-boggling.
Well, we do certainly need some kind of atonement from the kind of climate that we're seeing now of fear and of tension, like you just highlighted. But around a month ago, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, Chief of Army Staff, said that they would be calling on retired military officials. Have you been called upon, sir? Or is that also politicized? I just have to ask specifically, because you also mentioned a tendency to let reports gather dust. This was announced a month ago, yet we haven't seen much action. So I want to know if you have been called upon and what your inputs would be on thorny issues like the practice of ransom paying to bandits and terrorists, for example. Where do you stand on that question?
for me, it is another experience in my life. You know, initially, nobody thought about that. Then suddenly, it has become the noise all over Nigeria that all these kidnappings and things were, you know, another organized methodology of extracting money from people. I believe that's why I said, just before you asked the question, that I believe some devil has entered this country. Because what do you gain? If people are genuinely, honestly engaged, they have a source of income, there is employment in the land, there is, you know, all the policies of business and all that are all working akin with the standard of civility. Who will now think of going to kidnap the child of Mr. A for a ransom, and it is organized? It is the lowest ebb of any civilization. He hasn't called me, and the general, the chief of army, haven't heard anything from anybody. But to me, that's something that is very strange in this land. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, if you kidnap the son of Mr. A today, and you collect the money, you use the money to feed yourself, to send your own children, you know that's an illicit and illegal money. Who can guarantee that your own child will not be kidnapped tomorrow for you to pay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I mean, one we must, on moral suasion purposes, our religious leaders must come out and talk. Let us teach our kids the moral standards required in a civilized environment. What happened to the civics that we learned when we were young? If you do something evil to another man, who tells you that tomorrow that evil will not come into your house? What the hell is going on? He hasn't called me, but, you know, we have a pool of people that he can call. But this is my view. It's very, very heart-wrenching. Very heart-wrenching.
Okay, and I mean, it's quite very painful what is happening in the country. But you talked about religious and moral leaders. But there's been a religious leader, or sheikh, that has been engaging with kidnappers. His name is Sheikh Gumi. I mean, what's your take on him? And I'll also ask you, what's your take on the presidential ambition of, can I use the word, your friend Bola Tinubu? Senator Bola Tinubu.
Oh, gosh. Well, let me say it in very clear language, in English language. To me, it's an insult to the civilized people of this country, those who are committed to national development, that the likes of him, first of all, we must, whoever is going to come to take over the mantle of this country, I am of the opinion that the system of governance we are running now is completely ineffective. It is so militarized in its structure, in its nature, and we cannot be waiting for others from one single person. Let the power be devolved to all the states so that in each area, you know, people, because as you go from one state to the other, the culture is different, the attitude is different, the resources are different. So it is the aggregation of all these states that will make this mighty nation. But to sit down in one place with somebody backing others like a military organization, it is not working. So for this man, this clown, saying he wants to be president, you should ask him, what did he do where he governed before? He has appropriated, we've been shouting about it, and I'm still saying it now publicly, that the EFCC should go urgently, to go and investigate the Alpha Beta company owned by him. They haven't paid any taxes since he started. I am reliably told that they garnered almost 30-something billion in 1 year, last year, from the treasury of this country. If that money is available, would they not have used the money to alleviate the sufferings, to give succor to the people, to millions of those people at the bottom of the base? Individually, one person took 34.7 billion by his company. Which tax did he pay? And we've been talking that EFCC should go. Even the former managing director wrote a petition. Up till now, I'm challenging the young man that is there now for the posterity of this nation, because he's no longer too young. At 40, he's no longer young. There were former heads of state that became heads of state at 31 or 32. Papa Olowo was 33 when he took over as premier, and Baba Obasanjo too was head of state when he was 39. So at 40, I believe your life really starts. They can be the turning point. Let him be bold enough and save his own generation. We must make sure that they investigate him. He is junketing all over the place. It's an insult to the civilized minds, those who have worked so hard in this country. And look at the joke. Suddenly, Lagos state government is now saying they're setting up a law. Nobody should go to EFCC. They should be the judge, the jury in their own case. What a mess. What a nonsense. Please, this nation must survive. If by whatever yardstick it becomes the head of state, I will cease to be a Nigerian. And I'm not joking. How?
About Sheikh Gumi, I talked about. You talked about a moral compass, and a religious leader have been talking to some of these bandits and negotiating with them, and ransom still being paid anyway.
Yeah, the Dr. Gumi, Sheikh Gumi, yeah. What he was saying, and I like people to be honest. You know what he said? I listened to it. He said he championed the fight against Jonathan during his period and was calling that Jonathan must resign because so much blood has been spilled. He said it openly. He said, so what for now, if he did that to Jonathan and he's asking his own brother, that's the way he said it, that he's asking his own brother that he must change his system. Otherwise, he will lead a protest down that he himself, because more blood has been spilled now than Jonathan's period. So he's going to ask him that he must also resign in a double fashion. You know, he was talking to his people in his teaching. And I looked at it and I said, ooh, well, if he was that bold, which was true, he said it at that time. Why can't he say it now? Because the situation has not gotten better. But all those jokers, like the Minister of Information speaking from both sides of his mouth and lying all the way, and the additionals of this world and the other gentleman there covering up, let's tell the truth. Say it the way it is. Like we say in my parlance, Beba Sowaku, Bo Sowaku. Why don't you say it? If you say it, you die. If you don't say it, you die. Why don't you say it and let the devil be ashamed? You know, there's a popular saying, if you fool me for the first time, shame on you. But if I'm so stupid that you fool me the second time, then shame on me. Nigeria has grown. This nation has produced all parts of the country. I see the young minds, all these young people from all over this country, the north, the south, the east, and all that. They need a future. We need to translate and transform our Nigerian country to a nation. We are just existing as a country and not a nation. And it's going to affect the future of our people. Please, let's do what is just, what is fair, what is right, for the sake of these young generations that are coming.
I mean, these are tough times in Nigeria. I would like to repeat the point we both agreed upon earlier, that military rule is an aberration. And as a company, Arise News,
absolutely,
our policy is that there's no role for the military in democratic governance. So I'm just restating that for the benefit of those who could twist the statements. Now, let me go back to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Chief, I hope you are aware that on the basis of some of the things you said, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu could take you to task. You called him a clown. You said he has to account for some money. But these are allegations.
You bet.
Yes. Well, I hope he doesn't sue you for defamation. Those are your words, not ours, in this station here. But very quickly, the bone of contention.
Let us go to court.
Well, okay.
Now, let us go to court so that we both will be talking under oath. I am saying these allegations, we have documents. EFCC has been investigating. The former managing director of Alpha Beta himself stated, black and white, how they have been siphoning the money of the Lagos State Treasury. And you're saying, let him take me to court. We will go there, I will say my own, and the papers will be there, let him defend it. First of all, we want the original certificates of the university he claims he attended. And exactly what is his own real name. Look, you want to get a clown to be your head? What you will breed will be a pool of clowns. We need people. And there are people in this country.
Chief, I was going to ask you, one,
I am ready. If you want to take me, let me take you to court. We will fight there.
Well, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will insist, and his supporters will also insist, that it doesn't matter. That he has a right as an individual to seek to become president of Nigeria. It's for the people of Nigeria to decide. But the major bone of contention, I guess, between the two of you has to do with Lagos state politics. Now, as you claim, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has been in charge since 1999, either directly or by proxy. Why is it that the PDP, under your leadership in Lagos State, has not been able to displace either the AC, the ACN, the APC in Lagos State? And some people argue that it's because you always insist on the man that will run as governor, and that has been a major handicap for the PDP in Lagos. In 2023, is it again Mr. Agbaje, Jimmy Agbaje, that is going to run? And then the Lagosians will just say, okay, this man again. Don't they have people in that party?
Yeah. Let me try and disabuse your mind and at the same time tell the truth. What you have said is a cacophony of some jokers in the beer parlor. I'm sorry, Dr. Abati. It's a cacophony of jokers in the beer parlor. Who told you that I was the one who always nominated the governor? In our party, no individual has a right to handpick because it's not your private business. There is no time there had never been a primary in our party. The accusation you levying against me is exactly what they do with the emperor there. Bola Tinubu is an emperor. God bless you if you are not part of his own line. You know, that's what Trump is trying to do with the Republican Party now in the United States. And I wish him the best of luck. Here, you I want to call any of me and any of them and him for a debate. Even at 3 a.m. in the morning in the burial ground, I will be there to say that I, Bode George, had been handpicking people. You know what is wrong with us? The process of the INEC is archaic, it's unacceptable, it is as old as the centuries, and so it gives room for manipulation, figures. From your polling unit, the results are hand-carried. From there, from your polling unit to the collation center. Even from the results from Lagos State, it is also hand-carried by somebody to Abuja. Isn't that a joke? We're in the 21st century. When computer, even kids now in primary school, they know what to do with their iPad. They know what to do with social, whatever they call it. The internet is there. We have been asking government for us to be serious, that no intervention, no human intervention, even from across the waters in the riverine areas. You know, people come by boat carrying the result physically. Isn't it a joke? Where is that giant of Africa? Computer is available. The software is readily available. We have a lot of brilliant young people in Nigeria who can write programs for us and bring out a super program for us to run our election. We are still asking, where is the e-voting? You know, they tried. One, if you go to your polling something, you bring out your PVC card. That PVC card, you strike it against a small gadget, it identifies you. Isn't that the same modern technology? So what is wrong in you pressing the button for the party that you want, and it's automatically registered in any location you want it? Even if you want to store it, you can store it in the clouds. That result. So he's sitting here clowning, manipulating this result. You know what happened in the last election? Where have you ever had anywhere in the world where you have a bullion van on the day of election? Were they carrying food for him to his house? Bullion van. He was not arrested. He was not cocooned. He was not containerized and be taken to the cooler. Please. No, these are not things that he had done in the dark. Openly. So why are you saying Bode George is this and all that? It is absolute nonsense that they run as election. I have seen it. We have watched it. And we have been crying for this nation to move forward, for credible, responsible, respectable, fair-minded people to represent their people. Let that process be modernized. Otherwise, you have the man who has stolen so much money, controlling all those who want to be governor, to be representative, to be state assembly, to be governor, to what nonsense is this? For God's sake. We are not in the dark ages. So saying Bode George, we will present people. But as long as we have this process where people use the manual process to compute our results, forget it.
On that
forget note, it will never work. You know, we are gradually getting to the zenith, and I am afraid people are getting fed up. A lot of our young minds are coming from abroad now. They want to be this, they want to be that. I keep telling them, well, let's keep shouting. Maybe Professor, who is in charge of INEC,
we'd like to thank you very much. Point well made. Thank you very much, Chief Bode George, for joining us.